Hey, I quickly wanted to take you behind the scenes of the Digital Nomad Accelerator, where we help people find clarity on their digital nomad journey and how they can get started. And this is an interview we did with George, and George is one of our members. And from time to time, we do these interviews. We call them Digital Nomad Stories, where we interview other digital nomads to understand better how they got started. And George worked in a restaurant first and now has been a digital nomad for the last 2 years. In this interview, you will learn how he exactly did that. By the way, if you are thinking about becoming a digital nomad and you have no clarity, you don't have no idea how to get started, and you want to be surrounded by 130 other people on that same journey, you can join the Digital Nomad Accelerator here down below. We're going to raise the price soon. At this moment, it's $8 per month. So if this is something for you, make sure to join. Let's dive into it.
Right, welcome. Today I am here with George. George is a member of the Digital Nomad Accelerator community, and I'm very excited to interview him because he's a very active member. He's always there. I love his energy in the community. So, George, can you quickly, shortly, briefly tell us who you are and what you currently do as a digital nomad?
Sure. Thanks a lot for this introduction. So my name is George. I'm 32. I'm French, and I'm digital nomad for 1 year now, and I'm a freelance web developer. So I was able to do it through freelancing and programming.
All right, interesting. So, can you also tell us maybe where you're currently in the world?
Sure. So I'm now in Cairo, Egypt. I'm in my parents' place actually.
Okay.
But I went to Mexico. It was 2 months ago, and I'm planning probably to go to Asia during the year, Malaysia or Indonesia.
All right, beautiful. Hopefully, we'll bump into each other because I think a lot of us are in Asia because we have a very good lifestyle there. So it would be very nice to see you there. But I think it's very interesting because you have been a digital nomad for a year, and maybe let's first dive into the things that you love about this lifestyle because I can imagine like when you started, like you were like maybe a little bit hesitant, but now you've been a digital nomad for 1 year. How was your experience so far?
So I felt in love probably with traveling, probably like a lot of people. After my first big trip, solo trip, so I was backpacking before. I was
Okay.
working in a restaurant and backpacking. And my first trip ever was in Indonesia. So it was maybe in 2015, something like it. It was not super, as a hype around digital nomad was not uh, super like mainstream yet. But backpacking was a thing. And I came back from this trip. It was just 1 month, completely changed, completely transformed. And it just felt right. I had like a very routine life before working in a restaurant, like kind of a robot. And after this trip, I took the decision that this is what I wanted to do, and I would do anything I can to make it a lifestyle.
Oh,
So yes, so when I came back, I researched how to become a digital nomad, and I had a couple of suggestions. And freelancing web development was one, and I learned after freelancing, and this is how I get into it. So it was the first trip who kind of inside of me got the yes, this is the lifestyle that I wanted,
yeah.
and then.
I want to touch on that for a minute. Sorry to interrupt you, but you said something transformed. What transformed? What was it inside of you that happened? Was it an experience that changed? Was it somebody you met? What was it that transformed you in that moment?
it I felt internal like growth. I felt like growing, maturing in just 1 month, like super quick.
Mm,
My first trip, I didn't know how to speak English before. I even asked all my friends, "Are you down to go with me to do a trip?" Everybody was like, "You don't speak. We don't speak English. We don't know how to come to go from a place to another." It was a lot of fear and
yeah.
like how I'm gonna manage the trip. Also, I was more isolated in my life before, so it was like very routine work. Um, like it was uni before, but then home and then work, and it was the common rat race that we see on YouTube, like who people describe it like very routine life. And coming from this trip, showing myself that I was able, without English, go from one place to another in a completely foreign country, just made my self-esteem completely skyrocket. You grow as a person, like, a lot. When you show yourself you're able to do this on by yourself, like something changed. It's hard to describe, but it's growth. It's growth and yeah, self-esteem, I would say, and also uh, the you meet a lot of people. So the
Okay.
socializing part is huge. When you wake up in a dorm with like 15 people and you have breakfast with them, and then you go out, and it's like every day like this, you're in constant surrounded with people constantly. It's
Mm.
completely different, and this part of my life also was greatly impacted in a good way. And so, yeah, you see in a very short period of time an intense, a lot of transformation, personal transformation, and then
Yeah.
it's like, yes, this is the way I want to go.
Damn. Would you say that it's like almost like in the beginning you had this fear, and it's like
Yeah.
you showed yourself you could overcome that fear, and now you start trusting yourself because that means like, okay, even if I'm scared, I can accomplish anything. It's like you proved it to yourself that you could do that.
Yes, definitely. And when
Wow.
I came back, I question a lot of other things, that a lot of other fears,
Like
and
what?
this is like being able to make a career out of something else than my previous career.
Okay.
Being able to, yeah, have more relationship with more friends, um, and also I wasn't in very good shape before, so it also put me on the gym and all this type of lifestyle, and
Wow.
you just feel like you want to improve everything, like it's positive spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything came after this, uh, just
Wow.
improved every aspect of my life.
I also have a question because you said somewhere in the beginning that you are a person that is a lot on himself, like maybe a bit more isolated. And then you said you met a lot of people. Would you say from yourself that you're more extroverted or introverted? And how did you deal with like meeting those people? And did it help for you to stay in a hostel where so many people are sleeping in the same place?
Probably the biggest fear and biggest struggle, because yes, I'm introverted, and I was shy before. But for me, it was like introverted people or shy people, or um, like they don't go out, they don't meet easily. But I think it's a mistake. It's a false belief that we have.
Okay.
You can be introverted and still like super social. You're not antisocial when you're introverted, and this is something I discovered, and it was like
Okay.
huge. And you discover that even if you are introverted, you need, like, the fulfillment that you get from meeting other people and being in social environment. It's also it's insane for you. We need it, and this also was a great. It just gives a lot of energy, um, and yeah, want you make want like make you want to go forward and experience it more and make it. So if I'm discovering all these other new parts of
Mm,
life, what is behind, like what else can I improve?
wow.
And after that, I started to travel each 6 months. I took at least 1 month backpacking, and it was
Wow.
fulfilling as well. Uh, so I figured out that yes, traveling does something.
Wow. That's inspiring. That's
Yes,
super inspiring.
uh, a lot of people, especially when you are in your 20s and kind of lost. I met a lot of people who tried to like started to backpack after a breakup,
Okay.
who were lost. They quit their job. Like there was always at the beginning, I think for a lot of people, like place where you're fed up and you try to escape from a life that you don't like. And what you discover, the self growth that you discover when you start to travel, is so it's it's how do you say? I don't have the word, but it makes you overcome the struggle
Mm,
that you have, and then people get addicted to it. And I think it's a good thing. And usually a lot of people start to grow after a trip. You hear it time and time again for the very successful people on Twitter, or like people who are good, who are like successfully in tech also. Uh, there is always a trip part, like where they were traveling and discovering the world and other people.
Mm.
I think it does something for people.
Wow, that's so interesting because from my perspective, and I'm just very curious now, right? Um, so I started traveling just on and off, but I was always lucky enough to go to a friend or with a friend. Then I started traveling with my girlfriend back then.
Yeah.
Um, and then when we broke up, it was the first time I was alone, right? And I think maybe also because it was after a breakup, it was one of the hardest things I ever did. And it was the first time I experienced anxiety, all that other stuff. But now hearing your story, looking back at it, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made, and this might just be interesting for people that are thinking about this life, is I always rented something by myself, and
Mhm.
because of that, I didn't meet people. Like, for example, I was in Malaysia and I only met one person, like two people, but actually because through a referral or a mutual friend. Um,
Mhm.
but that was very, very lonely. And I think like loneliness is one of the things that scares a lot of people to go on this path. So would you say that like going to a hostel where actually a lot of people are would be a way better way of starting?
Yes, 100%. For me, maybe 70, 80% of the experience you have from a trip, especially in backpacking, like I'm talking about backpacking. When you're a digital nomad and you have to work, like, and have internet connection all the time, and you have still hours that you have to be productive, maybe it's a little different. But backpacking, if you really, from my experience, really want to have the full growth out of it and the full experience, be immersed in social environment all the time with people. And as extreme as, yeah, sleeping in a dorm with 15 other people, or going on like having breakfast with them, and going activities with them, meet as much. Like, for me, when I was alone on the trip, and it was a fear at first, because alone, it's weird how I'm gonna make friends. But when you're alone on a trip, you're never really alone, because a lot of people come talk to you, and it's very easy. People are very open mind in this, like, the backpackers are very open man. I love this community because of that.
Mm,
um, Even if, like, it's weird, but in your home country you could be you can meet the same person, but it will not be the same. It's more cold, it's more, okay, we are in our country, like the Western world, it's not as easy to open. But it definitely makes sense when you're in, I don't know, in hostel in Vietnam. So it's weird, but
interesting.
okay, if this is how it works, uh, fine. And yes, you meet amazing people, you meet amazing, you have amazing connection with them, and it makes you grow. Especially now, where everything is more like, we are all more isolated because of the internet. I think it's an easy way to have a social life quickly and easily. Where for everybody, it's like, it's the opposite. In hostel, if you are alone, you don't feel normal. But when you go and talk to people, and then just people will come to you anyway, it just makes everything else easier. And what
Wow.
is it, digital nomad? I think there is. I haven't experienced it yet, because I'm like, this is my parent place in Mexico. I was not in a co-working or co-living, but I'm planning to do it. I think you still have other way. You have a video in the community, a course, which is very interesting about that, and I think I will experience some of them, which is like co-living, or even maybe working from hostels. It can work if you know how to manage it.
Yeah. Like you are inspiring me to like now like I want to like let me search for a hostel, let me try to go to a hostel because I want to
Good.
experience it. And I just think like the only thing is like the safety for my camera gear or like for my laptop, I think is the only thing. But still, I've also heard like people don't really steal in hostels, so it's actually a pretty safe thing. But this is very interesting. But now I would like to go back, like back in the time a little bit, to see like
Okay.
who was George before. Like you already mentioned a few things, like that you lived a lot in isolation. But what did you study, and like what was the part like? Because you also said you worked in the restaurant. So how was that? Like, what was your experience before that? Because I think a lot of limited beliefs with people is like, oh, I didn't study something, or I didn't have the right job before. So I would love to hear how that was in your life.
Sure. So I was dreaming about being a doctor before, like the
Okay.
first ever, and I didn't. So I failed, and after that, I didn't
Wait,
have any B.
why did you want to become a doctor? Was that something you wanted, or was that something your parents wanted for you?
Definitely, I wanted. It was
Okay.
the kind of dream which is even if I didn't get paid, I will do it. I had this
Wow.
in yeah. I really, really wanted to do it, but I didn't. I was very close to be to success, but I didn't because in France, you have the first 300 place. We were 2,050
Oh.
people candidate. So if you fail 2 years, I tried 2 years. I failed the second year. I was close, but I didn't get it. So I didn't have any plan B, and this is where like I was completely lost. And this
Oh.
lasted for I don't know until I was maybe 18 or 20, and until my 25 or 26, I was completely lost. So I went to another. So I had good grades, so I could go to the second year of biology, but
Okay.
it felt just
Off.
like yeah, I didn't want it, and the courses were we were just staying in the course, listening to the professor, but it was like there is maybe a handful of people who are really interested in the class. I think in uni this is a problem that we have. We are just here to be here, but not really taking advantage of the class for real. So I felt like it was not for me, and I quit here, and I started to work in a restaurant. My father have a restaurant, so it's
Okay.
a family restaurant, and I was
Okay.
working just as an employee, doing everything like dishwashing and groceries and a waiter. I was working in the kitchen too, but it was really robotic work. So I was putting my brain at home and going to work and come back at night, and it was like this for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, it's super tough because there is no meaning. You just do the same thing every day, and I had in my mind that I just failed at my dream. So what else can I do? At least some money, at least helping in the family restaurant, which is still like me serving my family.
Yeah.
Then I just was fed up, like very boring life. And then this is why I started to traveling and like the rest of the story that I
Yeah.
say in the beginning. After the first trip, I came back. I was like, okay, I have to change. I have to make it work so I can have this lifestyle without never coming back because it's 1 month. I was abroad 1 month, coming back to work because I had to, and then I will allow myself to take another month, 6 months after. And each time I came back, I was like super happy, super fulfilled. And
Mm.
along the time waiting for the next months to happen, it was just draining, draining, draining. And then the trip, and then happy again, and everything is good, and then draining, draining. So I wanted to stop this cycle, and the only way was to be able to make money while traveling,
Mm.
where it started.
And you said like you started Google. Did you already know about the term digital nomad? Like when you were traveling, did you meet other digital nomads, or how did you like come into contact with the term and like the lifestyle?
Yes. Yes. So I saw people in hostels working on their laptop, and I just went up to them. What are you doing? Are you working? And they were, yeah, we are working. So for me, it was mind blowing to be able to make money and travel in the same time. I was not like I didn't believe it, to be honest, and it was something I will never be able to do. They are just special people. So I don't know what they were doing, but they're just in a super lucky place. But I knew it was like people were doing it at least. So this is what when the grain maybe when the seed in my head was starting to grow. It's like okay, it's kind of like there is a possibility that it can happen. And
Mm.
the digital nomad, even the term digital nomad back then, I don't think it was really a thing. but it was not mainstream as today. Like today, you see it on YouTube a lot. But yeah, back then, no. It was
Okay.
just the idea was amazing.
Okay, so then that seed was planted. You thought like, oh, it would be amazing if I could travel, but also make money so I could continuously travel.
Yeah.
So then you were like, okay, but what am I gonna do? So how was that process? Like, okay, you now know you want to do something, but how did you choose a particular field?
I just Googled what was
Okay,
possible to do as remotely, and I had a
okay,
bunch of results. And one of them was programming. We had also the classic web design and all the classics that we see on the internet. And it was completely random. I just picked one and let's
okay.
go. Let's see
Really?
if I
Like,
like
yeah.
it.
Wait.
Yeah,
So you just said, oh, okay, programming seems like a good thing to do. So I will not check anything else. Like this is what I okay.
yeah.
Did you feel you were good with computers? Like, was there any sense that you had already inside of you that you said like, oh yeah, I'm good with my computer. Like sometimes people ask me to help them with their computer. Was there anything?
Definitely not. The complete opposite,
Wow.
actually. I
Wow.
yeah, I had no experience, and it was super hard for me because I came from medical school and biology, which are more like soft scientific field, and this is
Mhm.
a very hard uh, skill, the programming. So it was very difficult for me. And
Okay.
no, I didn't. I even have in my mind, like for me, I had the cliche of the geek behind the computer, and I was not even seeing myself doing this.
With that.
But
Okay.
yeah, so the reward were good enough for me. Well, like it's strong enough. I had the motivation behind was strong enough to. I wanted to get uh, out of my previous life, and the reward was strong enough to push me to do it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Interesting. Wait, before we continue, because
mhm.
it's interesting, right? Like, because you would say, like, yeah, most people that do programming are geeky or nerdy. Like, I study computer science myself, right? Like, I have a degree in computer applied science. I know how hard programming is. That's why I thought, let me just do it in school, so because I thought I could not do it by myself. So I'm really curious, how was that experience, and where did you then learn it? So now you knew, like, okay, I want to do programming, but where did you learn? Like, what was the next steps in your journey?
So I after that I started to research about programming school or courses online or anything, and I found a bootcamp, a coding
Okay.
bootcamp. It was also new back then. The bootcamp was not super developed yet, but it was enough. They had a couple of cohorts that they did before, and people and it worked.
So
So
wait, you followed that boot camp?
yes, and it
How
was
much how
yeah.
expensive was it?
Back then it was very cheap because it was new. It was
Okay.
maybe 300
Okay.
euros. Yeah,
Okay.
and this was an experiment for them. It was still the first. Back then it was not common like today. You see a lot of bootcamp, but back then it was not. It's called the Hacking Project. It's a French bootcamp,
Okay.
and you don't have any professor, you don't have any class. They make groups, so maybe 5 people, and you have to meet every day, and they send you the resources, so you learn in the morning, and at the end of the day you have to complete a project and send it. So it was mandatory. So it's very good way of learning. It's called
Wow.
pair learning,
Yeah,
where
peer to
you
peer.
learn people, yeah, peer to peer, and it's very concrete. Unlike uni, where it's like very theoretical, you just listen to the professor all day, and at the end of 6 months, you have to pass exams. Here it
Okay.
was every day. You have to. It's like a small exam every day, and the
Wow.
key behind this type of learning was completely like it was completely different, and for me worked. I think for a lot of people, uni may be boring or doesn't work because it's just theory for 6 months, and then you actually have the exam. And people don't really, I believe, don't really learn for 6 months. You just came at the last month and tried to hammer everything. So the philosophy was completely different too, and that I was attracted to this type of learning, and it
Yeah.
really helped. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine, because for me it also works way better. Like in high school, I had tests every day because our teacher knew if you want to become an engineer, this is how you have to do it, because you have to study every day, you have to do it in practice every day so that you can do it every day. And I think that it forces you to be busy with it instead of, like you said, just waiting and then, oh, exams comes and now I will start like learning everything. So okay, that's like that's actually a very good way of learning, I think, especially programming, because it's a very practical skill.
Exactly. And it's I would advise for people in any field
Yeah.
to have this system, which is morning or afternoon, just theory, so learning resource, reading YouTube video and implementing right away uh, with the minimum time in between. I have one concept, I just learn it, I apply it right
Yeah.
away, and I do it like this. Bootcamp and
I
cohort, yeah.
I think this is very valuable advice, because what I see with a lot of things is people just watch a course. They even buy like a course, 2,500 euros. They watch it like a movie, and then they're like, okay, like they just watched it. Now they think because they have some knowledge that now magic is going to happen.
Because I think you have the feeling of learning when you watch. You say, oh, okay, I get it, but you don't really internalize it. It's completely,
Mm,
it's tricky. So I can understand that this happened, and I had it too. But when you experience the difference between both, okay, you understand that just watching a course doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to practice. And
yeah,
as you have a small cycle of learning, implementing right away, and an iteration of this as much as you can, this is where the growth happen and the skill acquisition happen really, really fast.
yeah. I can imagine. I think the way you were explaining it, I think what I've learned in 4 years, like going to college to learn programming and networking, all that stuff, I think you've done that probably in 6 months or like 1 year. I don't know like how long it took you to learn it, but like,
It took me, so the bootcamp was 3 months, and I
wow.
did a lot of self-teaching after. So the bootcamp
Okay.
give you an overview of all the skills that you need, but it's surface level learning.
Okay.
And then I just took that, like I had the roadmap and everything I needed, and then I went in depth with every concept on my own
Wow.
for maybe 2 years. But this is all a mistake of mine. I will not, like if I had to do it again, I would not take
Yeah.
as much time to do it. I think a mistake I did was to wait too long before putting myself on the market. I was ready way before, but I didn't because of imposter syndrome, and especially in the programming world, a lot of programmer don't feel ready, and it will never, like the feeling will never come. You have to put yourself in the market to get feedback from professional and from a manager. It doesn't matter, but just to okay validate that yeah you are good enough for the role, and you can start to make money right away and keep learning along the way.
So with that advice, how long you think, if you look back at it, it would have taken? So you did the 3 month boot camp, then you were learning
Yeah,
on yourself. How long you think you needed time to learn on yourself and then put yourself on the market?
I would say 6 months is good. 6 months to a year max. 6 months is good. 6 months, especially because I had it full time. So it was COVID. It was also something good for me. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it helped. I was
Yeah.
alone at home. I didn't have nothing else to do. So I was like just um, hammering programming. It was like my only focus, my only goal, and I could just focus on this and make it happen faster, I think.
Wow.
So
So you would say 9 months in total. If we take like between 6 months and a year, 9 months would be the sweet spot. So
yeah,
would you say 9 months and the 3 months? So 9 months learning by yourself and the 3 months, or everything together?
everything together.
Okay,
It depends
this is
on everybody,
interesting
but yeah,
because most people don't have the patience to only do like 3 weeks and then they would stop. Like
yeah,
this is what I want to hammer in as well in this episode. Like it takes time. I don't know
yeah,
why we like. I know we scroll on this TikTok, Instagram, and we all have this short-term attention, but it takes time if you want to build something beautiful for yourself. Like, and even if you think about it, 9 months can be considered long, but mind you, I did 4 years. I went 4 years to college, maybe to have the same level of skill that you have in 9 months. and still people are complaining that after 1 or 2 months they don't have the results they want. So this is why I just want to emphasize that, because I feel people are always so, they want the results so quickly. Now you hear it from somebody else as well. 9 months it took him to be good enough, like it could take him like 9 months to be good enough to get himself out there. So okay, now you had the skill. How did you find a job? Like how was that process? Because I can imagine like okay, I'm not ready, I'm ready, I'm not ready, I'm ready. And in what field of programming do I want to get started?
Yes, so the imposter syndrome was still strong back then, and I didn't want to get. I didn't. It's weird, but I didn't believe that I could get paid to do what I do, because for me at this point it seemed simple. I'm just doing like simple tasks. So how can I get paid? I was not believing it, which was dumb. Another again, but I went for internship. And looking back, it was still a good idea, especially now, like the programming market is a little bit harder. So going for an internship is really good, just for the imposter syndrome and to get some experience under your belt. So I went for the internship for 4 months, and I was learning with the CTO. So I had his feedback. So it was my learning curve was skyrocketing also. It was a really, really good experience for me. And then I started to apply on. So we have platform in Europe. I don't know.
Sorry,
Yeah.
before we go any further, how did you find this internship?
It was the yes. So the bootcamp I did. They did a post on Slack, and they asked if there was people who were interested in internship. The deal was you work for them, so you will not get paid. It's an internship, and in exchange you are working with the very good engineer, which was the CTO and other engineer in the team, and you get the experience from him. And this is a really good deal. It doesn't sound, but it is a very good deal. At this point of your career, when you start any skill, I think the value that you get from learning from someone skilled is way, way, way better than the money. You will capitalize on it like you cannot imagine, but you will capitalize on it afterwards. And this is counterintuitive advice, but if you can like work in exchange in exchange of knowledge, do it. It's way more valuable than the money at this stage, and it will not last like 4 months. I did it 4 months, and my skill. When I then went on the market after that, my first employer didn't believe that I was a junior. He told me it's not possible. You're not a junior. And even for me, it was surprising. But actually, yes, because the manager who was taking care of me was legit first. This is maybe the difficult part. You have to find someone who is willing to take you under your wings. But what you get out of it is very, very valuable.
And
then
again,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Like you said, it's counterintuitive, but I think it is the best way to do it. I also did like 6 months of working for free marketing, because where am I gonna, like, I cannot spend anybody else money, and I need to have experience. And again, like I think like so little people are willing to do that because they just think about the money, but you have to think long term. And in your case, in my case, it helped so well by stuff like it's like you're sacrificing yourself on the short term, but on the long term, it gave you so much.
100%. People are short-sighted, even even like when learning. So they underestimate the time that you need to learn something valuable, and also this part, which is you first like the first few months that you will give as work, you will get back to knowledge, and it's way, way more valuable.
100%, 100%. Okay, so now you did the internship. How did you land your first job? Where did you find your first job?
Yeah, so first job, it took me, again, after all that and the internship, maybe 5 or 6 months of research, like sending applications and constantly trying to find a job. So even that, was
Okay, wait. Before you go, sorry,
yeah,
I'm interrupting you a lot, but I'm just very curious
sure.
because a lot of people would be so demotivated. A lot of people would think like, "Oh, it's 3 months already, and I didn't find a job yet." What was your motivation? Like, how did you keep yourself motivated in that time period?
So, like I said, I didn't want to get back to my previous life. So it was this or nothing. I had my back against the wall. So that was a strong motivation. There's something else I didn't talk about earlier. My father during COVID, he wanted to retire, and he hold me the key of the restaurant. He told me, "Do you want it?" And it was a very successful business. Was making maybe 200 or 300 K per year.
Wow.
So the client was here, like everything was working, everything was already running. And knowing, because I've worked in the restaurant for the 5 years, knowing what the restaurant life looked like, I was like, no, I don't want this life. I don't want this life. So it was 200 or 300 thousand euro per year right now on the table. Do you take it or
Wow.
no?
Wow.
And are you willing to, if you don't take it, are you willing to do what it takes to make at least, because in also in the eyes of my father, I had to make it to have
Yeah.
at least income. It was tough, but I said no. So I turned down the opportunity, and then it was even more. I would not say pressure, but motivation to make it work.
Wow.
And yeah, this was too hard. Like I think it's the main point is not having the choice, no choice,
Okay.
and just one goal and no choice.
Okay. And you said you were like researching like for 3 to 6 months. How did that look like? How does researching for a job look? Because I have no clue, right? I have no clue.
Yeah,
How does that work?
it's mainly on platform, so LinkedIn a lot. We have a platform called Welcome to the Jungle. I don't know if it's international, but it's at least European. So you probably have other platform, international platforms. They're just posting, sending application over again, having a lot of interviews, failing a lot of interviews,
Oh wow.
thinking
How
about
was
the
that
interview.
like failing these interviews? Because again, I can imagine it could
Yeah,
so many people would have given up, like, oh, now I'm searching for a job for such a long time. Now I'm doing the interviews. I'm not even getting accepted in the interviews. Like what was how
yeah.
was that part like doing the interviews?
It was super. It was rude. It was tough because for me it was the first time, so I wasn't. I didn't know what to expect. So when you get the no, 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 you think something is wrong, but this is not. This is just normal. This is the process. This is how it should be. So I was still in contact with my manager, who took me under his wings during the internship, and he told me this is normal. You are good enough. You are more than good enough. So just be persistent. I think if I can give one advice for interviews is that you have to make the interviewer feel like you are the person, like the only person who are good for the job. I was very humble during my interview, so I was not like saying, "Yeah, I'm the best" and everything. But you have to. And once you are in, you're in the company and actually working, you will do everything that it takes to make it happen. But during the interview, it's a sales process. You sell yourself, and to do it, you have to convince the person in front of you. He's talking for. He's talking. He's also doing interviews with other people, so he maybe have seen hundreds and hundreds of people, and there are still nobody like give him this emotional. Okay, this guy can do the job, and you have to get over being humble or not believing in you. If you have like don't have any self doubt. I know it's easier said than done, but you have to picture to your interviewer that you are the person of the job and you are super confident. Even if you are junior, you have never worked for a company or ever had a paycheck before, you have to give him this feeling and believe that once you will be hired, you will make it work. And if you don't, then what? It's fine. You will go learn again and do another interview. It might not be you. It might be the companies. Also, all the companies are not suitable for you. But yes, this part, which is be super confident when you are in the interview is key. For me, it changed everything. I remember that because I was spending a lot of interview and I had a call with my manager who like supercharged me mindset wise.
Yeah.
And he told me you are the like he put me like really he did a great job with me. And after that the interview after I was super confident and nothing had changed. Like my skill was still the same. I was still the same, just like uh, mindset wise and having more confidence during the call uh, made it work. And actually, this employer when he got me, like I told you, he told me, "I don't believe that you are a junior. Like your skills are good." All the other people told me no because I was not just able to sell myself right, but I had the skill. Like definitely, I had the skill.
That is so interesting. Like there's a few things that come to my mind, right? Because you have to imagine, first of all, self-confidence is such an important thing, but you also have to think you're in IT. Like I've studied IT. I know how my classmates look like. I know how they act. I think 99% of them don't have a lot of confidence. So I think it is the easiest way to stand out if you
Yeah.
have confidence, because they see like, oh, we see same, and then one person is a little bit more confident, so they're like, oh, we have to go with that person. And the second thing that I think is very interesting, because I was talking with my classmates this week, and he said like a lot of people that they're hiring now are Indian people, and he was getting angry about it because they charge a lower rate. So it was like a small conflict that he had, and he said, I cannot take it how confident they are, because whatever they say, yeah, I'm the number one, I can do that, you know. And it's funny because they don't see that it's a positive, you know, like they saw it as like, oh, they just say they can ever, like, where's the humbleness? But sometimes you need to be able to sell yourself, because at least you need to have given that chance. And if you have to oversell yourself, at least you will get that chance, else you will just get a no.
100%. And something you said about the IT industry is that we have this philosophy when we learn as programming, even with the other people like the manager or the professor, even online, it's the humbleness. We always, as developer, are taught to be humble, to not like said I'm the best developer in the world, and to be like we in the dev world we are really uh, we are expected to be humble, even if you are like an amazing. Like I have my mentor. He's amazing. He worked with GitHub, which is an amazing, like one of the most important platform for developer. Uh, he's probably in the 1% developer, Rails developer, and he's
Wow.
super. And when you talk with him, you feel like it's not possible. Like you are over here and you talk with me as if you are like he doesn't make you feel like he's what he is, but he is actually.
Wow.
So we have this in the yeah, we are taught to be super humble, and I think it's reflected in the interview that the developer has. But again, it's a sales process. You have to over sell yourself.
And how did you then eventually find the company that hired you for the first time?
So this company, so my first after 5 or 6 months of research, I had my first employer. It was a 9 to 5. I also choose that, so I didn't want to go freelance right away. So my plan was to learn and then have a 9 to 5 to have to work around professional people, so I can have the skill professionally and know how they work in the professional world, and freelance after. And I also planned to start my company, because when you're freelancing, you have a company that you run a little bit before I travel. So once I will be abroad, everything will be on autopilot. I already know what to do, no stress, and also I could put some money aside with my 9 to 5 and with my first client, and I did exactly that. This is the step I took. So I had my first 9 to 5. I worked with them. I stayed 9 months with them.
Okay.
And after that, I wanted to go to freelancing to actually make it happen.
Okay, wait. Sorry. Before we go to freelancing, how was the experience? The IT 9 to 5. How was that experience?
It was a startup, so it was a new world for me.
Mm.
Super nice. The company is super nice. The CEO, CTO, everybody like it was nice. It was really nice, but I didn't feel at the right place
Okay.
uh, because my father was an entrepreneur. He always taught us to be entrepreneurs too. My sister, my brother, they're also having their own structure. My brother have a restaurant, a cafe, and so it was hard for me. It was hard for me, even though like nobody was pressuring, like no pressure, nothing, but everything was super great. I had my paycheck and everything, but he was still feeling wrong. I was not okay with having
Okay.
people, yeah, to having a boss. So, and my plan was to be freelance anyway. So I also met my mentor. Oh, this is another good thing about
Yeah.
having a 9 to 5 in the process is to like networking. So I met my mentor during my first 9 to 5, and we're still friends until today. And he was had a big impact in my life on how I made everything work. Also, switching from 9 to 5 to freelance was a big step, and I was very afraid to do it because I need 2 years. Like we have also this idea that you need 2 years of freelancing of a 9 to 5
Nine to
to
five.
be
Yeah.
yeah to be legit to be freelancing. But no, in 9 months I was ready, and he made me realize that also because he's a huge freelancer. Like he works in a lot of freelancing with a lot of freelancing clients. So he made me realize that, and he made me take the steps on how to quit my 9 to 5. And people were like super sweet with you, and you just one day come up to them and tell them, I want to quit to start my own thing. It's hard to do, but he made me do it, and they were super like they understood. They said me, yeah, okay, it's fine if you feel that you have something else to do elsewhere. It's fine. We understand. Thank you for the cooperation. It was nice, and even that it was a huge blocker, a fear that I had. But no, it went super well. Everything went super well, and now, yeah, I have the life that I was dreaming of.
Okay, wait. We're going a little bit too fast now. So, okay,
Okay.
you said like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job. I have a bigger goal. I want to do freelance. My family, everybody's an entrepreneur. I also want to be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. You had the guidance of your mentor that helped you in transition. But okay, you have the skill. How the fuck do you get your? Oh, sorry for my mind. How do you get your first client? Like, how do you get your first project? Like, how did that go for you?
Same. I knew the hiring process was like you just need to hammer interviews. So I took the same tactic, which is
Okay.
building a portfolio, and this time not going on platform where they are searching for roles like 9 to 5 roles, but freelance role. So in Europe we have Malt, which is the equivalent of Upwork, I believe, and freelance info, which is now free work. So just putting my resume and every day updating, just maybe removing a letter or putting back a letter, just because to get back on the top of the list. And then interviews, a lot of interviews, until so um, I was explicitly saying no to the people who were not saying full remote. So I was explicitly searching for full remote, and it was a huge filter. So it's kind of you cannot do it other way. You want to be full remote, you have to just filter for full remote. So all the people who told me no, you have to be there like 2 times a week and stuff like this, I was like, yeah, no, thanks, I'm not interested. Until I had one company who the whole team is actually freelancer and full remote, so that was perfect. And then I had the interview with them. I had the skills because of my previous work as 9 to 5 and internship, which helped me a lot. And then I was able to handle the interview, and this is where it started as freelancing.
Wow.
And this is also something you don't overthink it. I didn't have my company. I didn't start my company before I had my client. So I signed up the contract with my client. I didn't even have any structure in place. And after that, I quit my job, and then I built I did the paper to build my company. So I had my job, my 9 to 5, before I even sorry, I signed a contract with my freelance client before I quit my 9 to 5.
Smart.
and then I built my company. I started to work with my client, and then I did the paper for my company. So everything is in reverse, but it works. It's you don't have to.
Beautiful.
There is no specific order. Yeah.
And the client that you then had, was it like a project and they said like we need somebody for 1 year? Was it long term? Like how was that?
No, they're working for like they're working with freelancer only. So it's like being a 9 to 5. The whole team is freelancer. So I still have a 9 to 5. For me, it's still a 9 to 5, but freelancing. This
Yeah.
is a type of freelance that we have. It's not like you have you're paid by project, and then they tell you, okay, I want this feature, I want this. It's gonna cost you that, and then you do the project with the one client, and then you have to find another one. It's more like there is no end date, and
Yeah.
as long as they need, I'm working with them.
And that's actually very beautiful because I don't know if it's like this with you, but like for my friends, they have like day rates. So they get paid like their day rate. I think for my friends, like 850 euros per day. And then it's just like a 9 to 5. But for them, they have to show up, right? Like for you, you're lucky enough that you can do it remotely. And it gives you like the security of like a 9 to 5, but you just get paid way more and you can do it remote.
Exactly, that's the point. You just have the risk of not being as protected if they don't want you anymore. But I think it's worth it. I prefer definitely that on being able to travel and take the risk than
100%.
5. And if it doesn't work, then you still have the skill. You can go and find another gig. And
Yeah.
also you saving. Like I just in my plan, I wanted to have a lot of savings to be
Yeah.
mind free regarding
Yeah.
that. Like if you are fired, it's okay. You still have a lot to recover and have the time to find uh, another client.
Yeah. 100%. Super cool. And when you say 9 to 5, do you also work from 9 to 5 in the same hours like your colleagues, or how does that work? Because if you travel and if you are on the other part of the world, because I don't know where your company is, like is it a French company or like a international
Yes.
company, and how do you manage with time zones to do the work?
Yes, it's a French company. They are super open to. They are remote friendly, so they know. Even my manager sometimes go to Japan and work from Japan, so they're open to
Yeah.
this. The only requirement is the work has to be done. So you do the job, it's fine. They're
Okay,
very
so
cool
you
about.
can choose your own hours actually.
Yeah, you can. You still have
Okay.
to be there for a meeting, maybe. Like there is a
Yeah.
meeting in the middle of the day, but that's fine. It's like it's not gonna kill you for the advantage that you have.
Okay. 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 Super interesting. I think I have the main questions that I wanted to ask you. Very interesting story, by the way. Thank you for sharing. But I still have
Thanks.
some questions from the Digital Nomad Accelerator that are I think also interesting to hear your thing up. So some things are already answered because like people said, like, where did you start with your freelance job? Like LinkedIn or other channels. I think we already mentioned that. Was it easy to find people? It was not easy. We already answered that. One of the questions was, where do you see yourself in 5 years now that you're doing this?
I want to take it even like I'm searching for even more freedom, and so not being dependent of like of a client. So this is what I want. We already talked about this in the community at least, but I have a hard skill which is programming now. But I think to build a business, you need more soft skills like sales and marketing, which will be my focus. I still don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I have just started a YouTube and a Twitter account, but nothing. I was not consistent. But I think I will go that route, personal branding and trying to find what I can do now
Yeah,
online. Yeah,
100%. Like where can people find your YouTube channel? Like just in case somebody's listening and they want to check your YouTube channel, if you're gonna start
sure,
again.
sure. It's youtube.com/George Atala at George Atala. It's my handle. Yeah, you can go. For now, there's just the intro video,
Okay.
but I'm planning to do more.
Perfect. 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 Let's see. Where did you learn programming? We already handled that. What is the greatest takeaway in your journey? Like, what is your biggest lesson you've learned since like being a digital nomad?
Since being a digital nomad, is it like regarding the learning process on how to get there, or really like the digital nomad life?
I think the
I don't know.
digital nomad life.
Digital nomad life. Um, the
And I have a
freedom.
second. I have a second question on top of that as well. So like, yeah, but continue.
uh, it's really the for me it's the fulfillment, fulfillment that you imagine something, you wanted it, and it was not believable even when I started. Like I told you, I saw this guy in the hostel, and looking back, saying, "Yeah, it happened. I made it happen." It's a fulfillment feeling that it's crazy, and the freedom that you have to be able to achieve it. Uh, know that you don't have to be in one location. You can be wherever you want. You decide. Um, I think yes, this is a realization here. Usually, I was coming to Egypt just for vacation, and now I'm here working and also in Egypt. This was the moment where I really realized, wow, like I'm doing it now. I'm just not here while in vacation. Yeah, the fulfillment of making it happen, I believe,
Wow,
will be
thank you.
the great.
I think that's the most powerful thing you said there. Like seeing somebody doing something, thinking like, "Oh my God, that would be amazing," but would I be able to do something like that? And then proving to yourself that you were. I think that's like such a transformational thing, and that's so powerful. And I think my second question on top of that was, or is, how do you experience the difference between, because before you were backpacking and learning a lot about yourself, how is it now as a digital nomad? Do you still feel that growth? Do you still feel those similar experiences, or is it different?
It's different. Um, as digital nomad, I'm really focused on finding a place to have to be able to work. Um, but again, I think it's my experience so far. So I think my answer is not will not be complete now. I will really soon experience like probably Bali, Malaysia, or co-living, the digital nomad that lifestyle that you see more often on YouTube. For now, I was just like me finding a great place, staying, doing my work, and just going around at night or during the weekends. But I would want to meet more people, and I think this is what's missing. It's just being around more people. Um, but yeah, so far for me, backpacking and being a digital nomad are different experiences. You are completely free when you are backpacking. As a digital nomad, you still have responsibilities, and it's
I hear
normal.
you. I hear
Yeah.
you. I hear you. I think I would love to tell you or advise you or recommend you going to Bali, because I do have to say, when I was in different places, I felt very isolated, and it was cool. I had a big house. I was just doing my work, and it was nice. It felt like a very luxurious life. But then
Mhm.
when I went to Bali for the first time in a long time, I felt I had a social life again. And that was something I didn't know that I missed until I had it again. I was like, oh shit, like I forgot a social life is actually really nice to have.
Yeah,
So I think because there's so many digital nomads there, it just makes it easier because everybody's doing the same thing and you make a lot of friends very quickly.
exactly. I'm gonna take your advice for sure.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Super cool. Um, okay, wait, there's one more question that I almost skipped, but somebody asked, where do you see chances or opportunities in online business? Um, like, are there things that you see right now that maybe, for example, AI? I think AI is such a new thing, so I think for a lot of people there are chances or opportunities there that weren't there before, or maybe jobs that are now easier to do because of AI. But are there on your end opportunities or chances that you see?
For me, it's the coaching and mentorship businesses, services that start to take off. I'm seeing a lot of people doing it. A lot of people trust more the people who have actually achieved something and want to learn from them, more than the school system, education system that we talked about earlier, which is
Mhm.
just you listening to people and not really getting something out of it. So I think there is something here. Doesn't matter the field. If you have achieved something that someone else wants, I think this is a growing industry
Yeah.
to me. Yeah,
And if you think about it, it actually goes back to your story because it's peer-to-peer learning. I would rather learn from somebody that did it than somebody learning from somebody that learned it in school to then learn again what he learned in school to the next person that he learned in school, right? No, I want to learn from somebody that fucking did it first. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I want to learn what you got, like whatever you did, I want to learn that.
definitely. Now look, like for example, the experience I had with my mentor. He made me like do a lot of things that like really helped me come to this place super fast. And I was lucky enough to meet him. We had a great connection, and so he just did it out of caring and friendship. But if I had to pay him, like if it was someone online and I had to pay him for the service, I would pay him like with my eye, like take the money, like because even if it was I don't know 10,000, what I gain now out of listening to his advice, oh,
Beautiful.
super valuable. Yeah. So I believe this will be the type of service that could in the future um, take take off. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we see you in the future mentoring other people to get where you are. That would be a very beautiful story.
Thank you. I hope so. And uh,
Yeah.
it's 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 great when you reach a point when you are like in a place where you were struggling and you reach a point and you make it. You have this instinct feeling of, oh, I want to give back or help people together because I know the struggle that it is, and it's a beautiful cycle. I think it's a it's a great goal to
That
then self being able to do it for others.
I 100% agree. All right, I think we can end it here. Is there any last thing you want to tell the people from the Digital Nomad Accelerator?
No, just keep posting, keep asking your question. We are here to help. It's great. We have people who did it from different angles. I'm a software engineer. That we have the podcast, and who has a podcast. We have people who do a lot of things. So there is many ways to get there, and yeah, hopefully we will see more of our people in the community being able to
All
do it.
right,
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm gonna end the recording here.
Thank you for having me.